This is Oakley's website, and check out their Prizm demo. On the ski slopes without the Prizm lens, and now with the Prizm lens. Wow, check that out. Look at that line. And if I let it go, no Prizm, with Prizm. That's insane. That's like day and night. And there's another one. So this is the road example without the lens and with. Wow, check out those cracks in the road. It's like so much detail. And without, you can't see them. And with. But hold on a second. Is this really true? Can it be that good? In this video, we are comparing our two best-selling gravel lenses, the Prizm Trail Torch and the Prizm Road. We're gonna do side-by-side comparisons and zoom in down to the pixel level to compare them. Are they any good? And which one is better? We're comparing bright light, low light, dirt, roads, rocks, roots, etc. And I was really surprised by how different they really are. And to be able to compare them, I created this setup with two GoPros and attached a Prizm Road in front of one camera and a Trail Torch in front of the other. Then I hopped on my bike to get some shots. And they feel totally different. So my initial impressions, I noticed two things: the color and the brightness. The Trail Torch is a lot brighter. It lets through about 35% of the light, whereas the Prizm Road only about 20%. So that's almost double the amount of light. Later we'll look at some footage in the woods, and there you'll really notice it. But what is even more noticeable is the difference in color. The Trail Torch has a really noticeable red-orange color shift, whereas the Prizm Road is also very noticeable, but a little bit less, and it goes into red and blue. And here a neutral shot to compare. Let's start with the side-by-side comparisons. Here I want to start with the brightness. So we're going to compare 4 images from ultra bright to low light. Let's start with the ultra bright. So here we're out in the open. There's direct light hitting us, very harsh light. And what are my impressions? Here on the left, the Trail Torch, it is way too bright. We have here at the top, that is way too bright. Then here, the road also, it's blown out so you cannot see the details. Whereas here on the Prizm Road, this feels really good. And then here, this feels all very pretty good. No hot spots. So in this ultra bright conditions, I think the Prizm Road is the clear winner. Keep in mind, the camera is not as good as your eyes. So here, this Trail Torch image feels totally blown out, but it's not. It's a little bit better in real life. So let's move on to one level less light. It is still too bright in general, but it is better. Before we had the whole road blown out, and here we just only have a couple of routes, I would say, are blown out, or some rocks or whatever that is, dirt here along the trail. So it's not completely blown out anymore, but still. And for the Prizm Road, I don't see any blown out sections here, so that's very good. And it feels very good in general, the Prizm Road here. So keep in mind for the Trail Torch, it is a little bit too bright. But without sunglasses, it would have been way too bright. But the winner is the Prizm Road. Let's go a little further into the woods where it gets a little darker. So for this and the next image, I technically don't need the sunglasses anymore because it's dark enough. But here I would rather want it to push the light or preserve the information as much as possible. And from here on, I start to favor the Trail Torch. You can see for the Prizm Road, it is getting quite dark. So it's everything is getting a pretty blackish color, whereas here with that orange tint and a lot more light, I think it's a lot easier to see where I want to go, to understand the contrast and the differences compared to the Prizm Road. So yeah, medium light goes to the Prizm Trail Torch. Then let's move on to the low light, and here I must say in both cases I prefer to not have any sunglasses on. Just the naked eye or some clear glasses would be the optimal. Prizm Road, I would have to take these off. It's too dark. I cannot ride down this trail. Let's quickly look at the details. Right, I think I would choose the line somehow like that. Whereas here it's like, is it good? With the Prizm Trail Torch, I think it's just fine. It's not optimal, but it works. And it's not like it barely works. It works decently fine. It's pretty good at the low light stuff. So what did I learn? The Prizm Road is really good on those really bright days, but only for the bright stuff. And the Trail Torch is much more an all-rounder lens that handles the low light very well, but struggles a bit on the bright days, but still takes off the edge. All right, let's get to my favorite part of this video, the color science. If you look through these glasses, you will notice that this one is much more red and this one is much more violet. By the way, if you were wondering what this is a prescription clip that I make for a lot of Oakley models and other models. If you want one, the link is in the description. Okay, let's get back to the topic. So what kind of effect does this difference in color have? So according to Oakley's marketing, the different colors highlight different things. So one is engineered to highlight rocks, the other dirt, and so forth. So let's check out what highlights what and how well. So we're back to this image. I guess this is the typical gravel biker's dream. So yeah, right off the bat, we already mentioned before here, it's too bright. And zooming in, let's look at the rocks, because here we're in the color science section, contrast analysis. Maybe we'll start with this rock right here. I guess identifying it is, this one is a lot easier. We don't have to, I guess, go too deep into that. Also, this small rock up here, it sets itself apart from the color from the other rocks, and here it almost blends in. And if we look at the general area down here, I think it is very obvious that the Prizm Road has a lot more better contrast on this kind of small rock surface. All right, let's look at this rock image. So here, this is medium lighting, and we have a lot more light here and here, but let's see how it is in the details. So let's focus, for example, on this highlight. I think this contrast is a lot better than over here. It is more light, but this contrast is better. It's easier to identify that this is like a ridge. Also, this ridge right here with the contrast to the black, it's a lot clearer than here. One other thing right here and here, I think this little thing here is almost not noticeable on the left side with the Trail Torch, whereas here you can kind of notice this pattern. Even though the Prizm Road has less light, I think it is the winner when it comes to rocks. And one further thing that I noticed that was surprising for me is the moss. If you look at it here, this moss, you can identify a slight green tint. So you can definitely tell apart that this is more green than this brown patch in the back, right? And here, I think it's, or for me, it's not that evident. This looks to me as if it could be dirt, right? It's not that obvious that it is moss. Whereas here, I think this is clearly moss. So I was surprised by that. I think this moss observation is even clear in this image. So if we zoom in here, I think this is really green and sets itself apart from this brown over here. Whereas here it blends more in, right? So yeah, also down here, this is less green. Here, the green punch is a lot stronger. Also over here and here. So the moss identification, which can be slippery when wet, clearly goes to the Prizm Road. This was something I didn't expect. Let's look at the dirt. So this is where I expect clearly the Trail Torch to win, because Oakley says this is optimized for dirt and roots, and this is dirt. All right, let's zoom in. Let's focus on this top section right here. And I think Oakley is right. The details back here, also the details here, a lot better than here and here. A lot more contrast. Not that hard. Also on this bank on the left side, I think here this is a lot better. I can identify like the small things in the trail a lot easier. So the Trail Torch is better. I think I would choose my line, something like that. This feels flatter. Here I have the feeling that I know better like how all this stuff is shaped. Let's move on to the roots. So here I also expect a obvious win for the Trail Torch because Oakley says it's optimized for roots. So let's check it out. And this is what we observed before, right? Because this is too bright. The highlights are blown out right here. And I think this is better. I can tell that it's rounded. So the Prizm Road, so you have to get so I'm starting to learn that it is more important to get the brightness correct than to get the color contrast right. So let's look at some stuff back here. Yep, same thing. I think here the contrast is better than here. This looks kind of flat because it's all blown out. And here I can identify like the curvature of the root and also the detail in this thing back here. But as said, when the light conditions change, there's less light, then I think it's the Prizm Trail Torch really starts to shine, especially with the roots. The three things, so here, here, and here, it is a lot easier than these three right here, right? So yeah, especially because the highlights and all of that detail, I think it's a lot easier to identify their roots and their shape with the Prizm Trail Torch. Clear winner in most cases for the roots, except when there's too much light. I didn't expect that one. But all right, learned something. Last but not least, let's check which one is better on the road. Which one do I expect to win? Of course, the Prizm Road. What else? But let's check it out. Let's start with the overall impression. What I have, yet again, the Trail Torch seems to be overexposed. You see here, this seems to be a little too bright. Here maybe as well a little bit. Here, the Prizm Road feels very nice, comfortable. All right, so let's zoom in. That's what we're here to do. So what do you notice? I noticed that this is red, and over here, it looks like it has the same color as the tarmac. Barely noticeable the difference from this part and this part. So I think this goes to the Prizm Road. Let's look at the next bit. Here, let's look at the oil stains on the road. Let's look at this rain drain. I think that's what it's called or not. Let me know. Also this one, I think clear win for the road. This manhole cover, more easily identifiable. And let's check out the lane markings, or what do you call it? Parking markings. And I think this, well, you can see them up here. You just don't know what color it is. So here you can see it's blue. So you know, okay, that's a free parking in Switzerland. But yeah, but I think the win goes to Prizm Road here as well. So on the road, I think it's pretty obvious. The winner is the Prizm Road, no doubt. And here, even in medium light conditions, So I said if details are not too important, right? I think here this one works. This oil stain, I think it's a little bit better for the Prizm Road. And it feels overall more natural, the color. It is not natural, but it feels more natural, right? So that concludes the pixel peeping for this video. All right, let's get to the pros and cons, and we'll start with the Trail Torch. So this is a generalist when it comes to light and a specialist when it comes to color. Why is it a light generalist? You can throw pretty much all light conditions at it. For low and medium light, it has stellar performance, but as a con, on the bright days, it is a little too bright, but it does cut out the harsh stuff. And for the colors, I said it's a specialist. Why is it a specialist? So it's good at dirt and roots. It boosts those. Even in dark situations, you can see them very well. But on the contrary, the cons, all other colors, like green for moss, are bad. Oil stains are bad. Road signs, anything red or blue or yellow is not going to work well. So, a specialist. Then let's switch over to the Prizm Road. I really love this color. I think it's amazing. This is the opposite of the Trail Torch. It is a bright light specialist. So it is mainly intended for the bright days. If you go to medium or low light, that's not where it shines. So that's one of the cons. Then talking about the color here, I think this is one of its main strengths. The whole range that we tested, it is very good, enhances those colors, makes them more easy to detect. So the oil stains and the moss and all those things were a lot easier to detect. Maybe as a con, I have the feeling that it doesn't boost the brightness of the color like the Trail Torch does, but I don't know if that is a proper con. What is my recommendation? My suggestion is to make the number one priority the brightness, to get that correct. If the lens is too dark, then you won't see anything, then you have to slow down, etc. Then it's no good. So you want a lens that is a little bit too bright, then too dark, a little bit. So based on that, if you're concerned that the Prizm Road is too dark, then it probably is. Then you should choose the Prizm Trail. If you have no doubt that it's too dark, then I recommend this. This is an amazing all-round lens for the color science, so that is what I would recommend. I know many of you gravel riders out there stay usually on asphalt or gravel roads. Then you don't need to be able to pick your line as precisely as a mountain biker on a rock or rooty trail. So you might get away with a Prizm Road lens in medium light, maybe. At Banana Optics, we are passionate about the science, technology, and style of this gear, so we can help you get the best glasses possible. All right, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.